how much that bike leans. We're going to get to that in a minute. There's two things I want to do to this bike today. Figured I'd do the need to do first because I'm not really excited about doing the clutch on this thing, but we're going to do the clutch first. My factory spec high performance clutch kit. Yay. And then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. This might be 2 videos, but I'll do the kickstand to get this thing to set level again. And I'll explain that in the next video. So let me get set up and I'll bring you back here in just a minute. I got the springs, the plates, and the friction discs are in there, soaking in oil, because that's what you do. So this is the oil out of the crankcase. It only has a couple hundred miles on it, so I'm going to put it right back in there. It's pretty clean, but giving these guys a chance to soak, it saves the wear and tear on the clutch when you do the first startup. Since all that's going right back in the engine, it's okay. What have I done so far? I'm going to turn down my radio. Disconnected the rear brake from the master cylinder, the rear master, took the springs off, and I'm just rotating this down. It's one less thing to take apart. Foot peg came off. Clutch, here it is, clutch bracket came off. Disconnected that from this bracket. 2 oil coolant lines are off. And right now I'm going to zip this cover off and let's see what we can see. Okay, so I've got all the screws, 8mm screws that are holding this side cover on loose, and they're just set in the holes. Now, I could go through all the trouble of marking each one, or I could just pay attention to what's going on, and you'll see. Hold on, let me turn this volume down a little bit. When they're loose but just stuck in the hole, they're all, I don't know, about 3/4 of an inch out, right? Because these are different size. That one's pretty long. That one's short. That's another shorty. So I'm just going to pull them all out, and they're fine. As long as when I put them back in, they all set about 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch. Proud of the bolt, including that, or the seat here, including that one. So this does have a gasket. I did not buy a gasket, so I'm not disturbing it. It's set pretty decent on the block. I did not disturb it from there, so I'm just going to put a really, probably not anything. Looks like they put something here at some point in time. That might be part of the gasket. So I'm just going to put it back on, and hopefully there's no oil leaks. And we'll see. Let's pull this plate out and take the rest of the assembly apart. So the thing to pay attention to here, and I don't know exactly why, other than I just remember it from as many clutches as I've done. This first plate here, or you could say the last plate, you have to pay attention, right? All these guys have notches in them, and again, I don't know exactly why it's this way. I just know it's this way. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 friction plates with the little notches in it, and there's one without. Same as what the new stuff is, but the one without the notches goes on this very first or last, depending on which way you're looking at the stack. I gotta go get a socket for that out of the shop, and then there is a washer that's been folded over there to keep that from coming loose. Alright, just took a cold chisel and tippy tapped that washer out. I actually didn't have a metric the proper size, so I grabbed an inch and, what did I say, 5/16? Inch and 5/16. Good enough. Wasn't super tight anyway. Hey, I'm going to dress up this area that got folded over, and I'm not going to fold the same area back over to lock that nut in, because I don't want any chunks of metal. See how that's, looks like somebody's folded this over twice at least. So I'm going to tap that flat, run it on a bandsaw, and then I'm going to grab this, like this corner here, and use that to lock the washer in. So I took the basket off. The nice thing is all these gears are nice and square edged. Everything looks lovely. Not a lot of debris in here, which is good. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah. Alright, let me, I'm going to set the camera down because I'm going to get oily. Pull these old plates out, we'll take a look at them. It looks like they don't have a lot of meat left on them, but I knew that because it was slipping. I should also mention too, in addition to, I forgot to mention this the first time around, in addition to keeping the friction plate with no little notches in it, as your first one here, there's also a metal plate, the steel plate that's thicker. So you've got, let's see if I can show you this. You see you've got 1, 2, 3 thin ones, and then the fourth one in is fat, and then 5 and 6 are thin. So the 6 thinner ones go in this pack here, and the non-notched friction disc as well as the steel plate go on against this outer edge here. And there's a spring clip right there. Let me get the thing. Sorry, this is super oily, my camera. There's a spring clip that holds this in place that I've got to pick out of there, but that's pretty straightforward. So this clutch is definitely, oop, look, I got organics in there, hold on. Tree debris falling in, one of the downsides of working underneath trees. The grooves in these friction discs are definitely worn, and then if you take a look, here's what's interesting, maybe interesting. You see the steel plate no longer has the dimples. The dimples are to give these friction discs traction, and these guys here are worn pretty smooth. So that's where your slippage would really be an issue, and they're all that way. They're all nice and smooth, so that's good. So we'll put this back together. Keep on keeping on. Yeah, this is what I'm doing to the camera. Alright, I had to go bareback on this one. Those gloves were getting way too slickery. Getting that little spring wire all captured was a little difficult. But here we go. We'll put this back in and we'll start torquing things down. Here's that washer. I hammered it flat, but I hold the camera properly, and then I put it on the sander and just kind of cleaned up the edges. Spool bit. According to the book, this one goes 29 to 43 foot-pounds. My regular torque wrench can do that. And then these little guys here are low. They do 8 to 9.5 foot-pounds, which I don't. My big torque wrench, 3/4 inch torque wrench, won't do that, but I have a little guy. I got a little buddy right here, 1/4 inch drive. That'll do the 11 to 13 NMs. Nanometers. I don't know what NM stands for. Sorry, I'm metric, stupid. I'm sure there's a special service tool for this to hold this basket in place. I just put it in gear, put the pin back in the rear brake, held the rear brake real tight, and then got it to 40 foot-pounds. Bolts just set in there. They're all about the right stick out. So I can start tightening it down, and I need to figure out what the torque specs are. Yeah, you're supposed to put a new gasket. You know, use a new gasket to prevent oil leakage. I'm probably going to regret reusing this old gasket because I don't know how old it is. But, oh well. We'll figure it out. If it leaks, we order a new gasket and we go from there. Let's go ahead and get everything snugged down and figure out what the torque specs are for these guys. Oh, the side cover is installed. I only have a 3/4 and a 1/4 inch torque wrench here. Yeah, so I just snugged these down until my wrist clicked, and then I figured that was okay. Put new O-rings for both of these oil cooler lines. I'm probably going to regret not changing this gasket, but like I'm sure I've said it at least one time before, if it drips, if it decides to leak down the line, I'll just get a new one and we'll deal with it then. So everything's torqued down. let's start assembling the assemblies. Put some engine oil back in here and fire it up to see what happens. So that wasn't horrible. Everything went together nicely. Just took it on a little ride around town. Didn't get on the freeway, but the clutch feels really grabby. In a good way. Lots of friction. And no slippage for my little ride. Right now we don't have any evidence of dripping. But I'll keep an eye on it. Worst case, I've got to put a new side cover gasket on it. I'm sure I can find those. Mostly. Yeah, so we're going to call this one successful. Got a new clutch. Now it's on to Fix's Gangster Lean. Thanks for watching. Gotta go, gotta run. Suzuki.